Welcome back to another episode of Brands Bites. Coming at you quite late, actually. I'm recording this at like 1 a.m. because that's when I had the time. Starting off today, though, with yesterday's topics, I guess. We're only doing this every few days or so topics could be kind of old, but there's supposed to be news that you maybe didn't hear about, maybe didn't catch all the details, and so on and so forth. Starting with the Porsche Turbo GT is the quickest, most powerful Porsche ever. And actually, it's one of the quickest EVs ever produced so far. With up to 1,092 horsepower, it takes just 2.1 seconds. Now, let's keep in mind, the Roadster takes 1.9, or supposedly will take 1.9 to go to 60 miles an hour. Now, there is differences in how they do this, if it's a rolling start, if it's a full stop start. I think Tesla's is probably a full stop start, considering they want to use cold thrusters to help the Roadster get there. But I've seen arguments all over the place on if 1.9 is actually achievable and safe in a vehicle. So we will see if that ever actually happens. But the standard model gets to 60 miles per hour in 4.5 seconds, and the top-end Turbo S model does that at 2.3. So shaving off another 0.2 seconds, which doesn't sound like a large number, but when you're doing 0 to 60s and we're talking 0.2 in a couple of seconds, it probably is something that even an experienced person side by side would be able to tell for sure. The Turbo GT is the most powerful taycan that the company has ever built, and if you count the 10 seconds of overboost, it's the most powerful Porsche ever, period, full stop, which is wild. So it's an attack mode function. Now this offers an extra jolt of power for up to 10-second increments. But while the push to pass only adds an extra 70 kilowatts, attack mode ends up another 120 to all four wheels. And yes, you can activate that simply by tugging on the right paddle shifter. Porsche obviously says that's for the track, but Porsche, seemingly to me at least, out of nowhere has become like the high-end Tesla competitor of EVs, which, not that it's out of nowhere or unsuspected for Porsche to be doing this, but it just feels like out of everything you would suspect them to do, doesn't really feel like you would expect them to be the next ones really closing the gap when it comes to performance, at least. Now, there's a little bit of cool stuff going on here. So the GT also goes to great lengths to reduce the weight, using carbon fiber covers on the B-pillars, side mirrors, and side skirts. Porsche somehow reduced the weight of the luggage compartments, this guy's guessing, by removing the carpet, and ditched the soft closing doors and electric charger door, and even ripped out the analog clock that comes standard with the Sport Toronto mod package, I think? I don't really remember. Don't know enough. Now, yes, the Porsche Active Ride comes with specific tuning for this vehicle. The interior goes heavy on the race leather thing. Honestly, Porsche, known for their interiors, the great looking car, awesome looking car. Now, this also did set some other records. On February 23rd, the Turbo GT completed a lap on the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca in 1:27.87, faster than any other electric car before it. In early January, a development prototype lapped the Nürburgring in 7:07.55, faster than any other EV or sedan, gas or electric. Now, the price for the performance doesn't come cheap. The 2025 Porsche Taycan Turbo GT starts at just a cheap little $231,995 with destination fees, and it's expensive. You'll be able to order now, and it will make their way to dealers this summer. This is a fantastic looking car, though. This purple that they got going on here, I love it. This is a great, if you're going to do it like this. Awesome spoiler. Interior, Porsche interior. It's great. Love all the screens. Amazing lap times. I am not the biggest Porsche fan, but I do enjoy. I don't really have a reason for that. I just don't. I think of Porsche as like the poor man's like rich car, even though obviously at 231,000 we're not in poor man's land anymore. But I just think of it as a more accessible sports car. But the 911 series, the Taycan series, does look great. I actually prefer all the Taycan GT looks over the regular Taycan. I love the front of the car. I just enjoy it more. Super awesome though. Glad Porsche's putting these numbers out, and someone's showing Elon that they're here to compete, and that is great. Unlike the socialists and activists in Germany. And speaking of which, we have a couple articles talking about this today. If you don't remember, when Giga Berlin was being built, there was a lot of environmentalist activists who were getting mad at Tesla for taking down all the trees they had to, even though Tesla was planting the trees other places. Lots of stuff was going down. It took an extra long time to kind of get going there, even after Germany kind of fought to get Tesla to pick them. Now, listen to what's going on. There are squatters now at Giga Berlin, and it's not great. They're occupying the forest, and it's not anyway, claimed to be connected to the alleged arson attack, which we'll be talking about next, that also happened at Giga Berlin. But the power supply to Gigafactory has been restored for a little bit now, and, it's not great. They're having some issues getting power to the plant. They're having issues, obviously having squatters on site is a risk to people. It was only approved until Friday, March 15th. So by the 15th, they need to be out of there or they will be evicted. Really weird. Yeah, I understand why people are against this, why they don't like it. But I was also reading an article today talking about how the Giga factory in Berlin uses less water than some farm of something. I can't remember now that I need to. But to the other article, to the other problem here, the crazy Arkin thing. Whoa, words are very hard. The fire problem they had. So thanks to the fast assembly work around the clock and cooperation between all companies involved in construction, there's likely now to be a resupply of power tomorrow in the evening on Monday. Left-wing extremist group, the Vulcan Group, has claimed that the person behind the arson attack in a letter stating that its intention was to stop Giga Berlin's production, and the police have confirmed the authenticity of the letter as well. German authorities have launched a probe to investigate the arson attack, as it affected not just Giga Berlin, but also critical infrastructure in the neighboring districts. Kind of a developing story here on Giga Berlin. It's a factory that has been shut down. It's a factory that has lost power. It is a factory that Tesla needs running. It's one of the most unique paint shops in the entire world for painting vehicles. And it is obviously, as a gigafactory, it is a main powerhouse for Tesla. So to have issues like this going on all the time is not great for Daddy Elon, who doesn't need more problems than he causes for himself. Next up, we have DJI. And we covered this in the last episode as well. There's also another clip about this. But DJI details efforts to avert the potential $116 billion economic impact on the U.S. blacklisting its drones. So DJI, who is now claiming this will be a $116 billion, yes, that is with a B, impact on the U.S. economy, is now pushing even harder against the U.S. ban on its aircrafts. So DJI's has had accusations of DJI's UAVs leaked data to Chinese authorities have never been substantiated. We do know that typically if you are a Chinese company, you kind of go hand in hand with the government. So to an extent, it makes sense to think that they would be doing that. Whether there's proof behind it or not, it's hard to say. It wouldn't be. But let's just put this into perspective. DJI. Now, if you are on YouTube and you watch any YouTube videos with drone footage, I can personally almost guarantee you, unless it says otherwise in the title, it is probably a DJI drone that shot that footage. DJI has 70+% of market share, down to what some estimate is close to half now. But that I genuinely think that it's only closer to half now because of people getting worried about stuff like this. With the draft of the Counter CCP Drones Act seeking to effectively block operations of DJI drones by all U.S. users, now starting to clear the House of Representatives subcommittees, Drone DJ spoke to the head of DJI Global Policy, Adam Welsh, about the blacklisting drive and its effect on the company. So, this has obviously been accelerated. DJI has a long-standing policy, this is what they said, of not commenting on market share or other sales-related numbers. What I can say is that DJI continues to grow despite the political headwinds. This is because of the quality of our products, which is very true. It is hard to find a drone that is as reliable, easy to fly as a DJI drone with built-in features that are very useful and work. And I'm just going to put it at that. Yes, you can get other drones that shoot pretty close to as good footage, if not equal. And yes, you can get drones that relatively basic controls work very well. But for ease of use when it comes to smart features like cool shots like the orbiting shots that drones can do, stuff like that, we're starting to get a little more uncomparative to DJI. So that is interesting. Now, DJI does claim, and they have told us multiple times, and I covered this a little bit last time, that there are local data modes, offline updates. You could leave your phone in airplane mode that you use with your DJI controller, and there's no way for that drone to reach out to any server. So there is also that. There are some problems with that. If you are flying commercially, you might need to not have that mode on so that you can actually get that area approved for flight. So some arguments can be made that that's just not it. The current political charged atmosphere has made it challenging, and to an extent, I understand the issue and problem with a Chinese company having this kind of information, and at the same time, what they should be doing, I can see why they think a ban's worth it. They really should just be pushing more U.S. companies to get into more tech like this at a cheaper price and make it better. Subsidizing it, one way, just an option to do out there. The lobbying campaign by our competitors to ban DJI has had an increasingly negative effect on the drone community, and it has made a lot of people are confused and has wasted public taxpayer funds due to sudden mandates to ground its fleets. I think for the general population of the U.S., this should be allowed. If the government doesn't want it, then the government shouldn't use it. Ban government use of it. That would be probably totally fine. Basically, they're estimated that DJI product sales alone in the U.S. were estimated at $116 billion in 2023, and that is a large sum of money. That is a huge sum of money. I would love to know how many drones they actually sell here, because that is absolutely insane. Basically, they wouldn't be able to launch new products in the United States. And to an extent, again, I hope this doesn't go through. As a user of DJI products, as somebody who actually really enjoys their DJI drone, and it really is the best thing out there. So I really hope this doesn't go through. Again, if they're this worried about it, ban it for government use. I think that's totally fine. I think banning it in the U.S., you should really just be encouraging competitors, and if there are none, then that's kind of on you for not supporting other companies better and letting them make better products. Speaking of which, supporting other companies, OpenAI CEO Sam Altman is about to make basically a shitload of money. If you didn't know, Reddit is going public. Now, the apparent third largest shareholder before this goes public is, you guessed it, Sam Altman. Now, we know Sam Altman, part of the reason Reddit wants to go public is because that gives them more funds, obviously. Now, this is kind of a big deal because OpenAI and Reddit are kind of, they're not working together at the moment, but Reddit is working with Google and their AI. So Reddit is about to be worth quite a bit when it comes to AIs, as a platform that primarily until recently was really good actually for finding information. Yeah, so that's kind of a big deal if you happen to have another company that's competing with Google. And oddly enough, when Reddit goes public, maybe your company is also going to take advantage of that. So later this month, when Reddit goes public, are looking to sell almost 748 million worth of stock in its IPO, which could lead to a valuation of Reddit of $6.5 billion. So the company will offer 15 million shares for between $31 and $34 per share, with existing shareholders planning to sell in almost another 7 million shares. So at that price, Altman's stake in Reddit could be worth between 51.4 million and 56.4 million. So quite a bit of money if you are already rich. Altman owns about 1.66 million shares of the company, is what Business Insider is kind of calculating here. He owns 8.7% of the social media platform with a voting power of 9.2%. But the filing also says that Altman disclaims beneficial ownership of these shares, except to the extent I was respective. I wish I knew what that word was, so we will look that up because I am slow. Let's check out here. Basically, relation of money, interest there within, meaning he doesn't exactly own all the shares affiliated with him, but they could belong to one of his funds. So basically, he does to whatever. He basically does, is essentially what we're saying here. Now, let's be clear. He works at OpenAI, and yes, Google struck the deal with Reddit. Now, if you're Sam Altman, you're kind of winning from both end here because you're making money either way. Who really cares? You kind of have the best one right now. You also get a little bit of the inside job on what Google is teaching their AI from, what they're learning from, what information they're taking. So dude is sitting in a pretty good spot. Also, I believe when Google did strike this deal with them, it turned out it was not an exclusivity deal, so OpenAI could eventually be taking the information as well. We don't really know, but Sam Altman has come under fire from big guys like Elon for making it closed AI instead of open AI like Elon originally planned. There's actually a lawsuit about that right now that we just covered recently as well. And it turns out that Sam Altman, out of nowhere, is becoming extremely rich, which is very fascinating to watch happen. And it's crazy how, like, no one knows of this guy. OpenAI comes out, big deal with Microsoft. Boom, boom, boom. He owns some of Reddit. Reddit's making big deals. Reddit's going public. Like, so much has happened in a short period of time, and dude is apparently perfectly positioned for it. So, did he know? Was he planning for it? It's hard to say. But what we always do plan for is Google leaks when it comes to the Pixel lineup. So Pixel 9 is getting a new feature. I don't even know if we can call this a new feature here. So with the Pixel 8, Google launched a feature called Screen Protector Detector. And it detects when you take a screen protector on or off to adjust the display's sensitivity. Supposedly, they are basically building, on top of that, a new adaptive touch. So according to a report from Android Authority, Google is preparing to add this adaptive touch feature on the Pixel 9. Now, typically, Google does like to do exclusivity features to their new phones that seem to just be software anyways. But in Android 14 Beta 1, under the settings, options, settings, display, touch, and sensitivity, it is said to automatically adjust to your environment, activities, and screen protector. So one of the ways that people are thinking this might be used, if you've ever interacted with a wet screen, you will know how frustrating it will be to use that screen with it detecting false touches because of the droplets in day-to-day life, touch sensitivity in such environments. It'll reportedly kick in when the screen is prone to water droplets or if the screen protected causes resistance between your finger and display. There's a kind of a lot of cool things here. Now, the OnePlus 12 also has a similar feature called Aqua Touch, in which it adjusts the sensitivity to better interact with a wet phone. As per the report, it isn't clear yet what will cause this to be adjusted, how it'll work, blah, 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 blah. But is one of our first and probably not only leaks of the Pixel 9 and what features it will be coming with that. Like I said, this will probably be locked to Pixel 9 at first. Maybe Pixel 8 will get this since it seems like they kind of already have something similar. Other rumors supporting the Pixel 9 is said to support a new design with an updated camera module and a pill-like structure with rounded corners. And according to earlier leaks and renders, the Pixel 9 could have a triple rear camera setup. First for the non-Pro version of the Pixels to have that. It also seems like it'll have flat edges, but it was a pretty early leak, so whatever. We'll see what happens. But an adaptive touch feature, depending on how it works, could be pretty cool. This does kind of sound like they could be turned into something kind of like, was it Force Touch on iPhone or whatever, where you'd long press or press extra hard and we get extra options on apps and stuff. Android did kind of build in a weak version of that, but obviously the feel and use of it feels different when it's an actual like screen built-in feature. So maybe that's coming to Pixel phones so many years later. They're going the Apple route and doing things late. But like I said, first of the Pixel 9 rumors, we'll see what else comes in the future. And lastly today, the boring companies, I think it's Purfrock 3 lined up to launch at the Giga Texas. I actually just drove past this the other week down by Bastrop, and this is actually supposedly a pretty cool piece of tech. Typically, when digging tunnels with these machines, you kind of have to get them down in a hole and then they can start your tunnel. Supposedly, with the Purfrock 3, if I am understanding this correctly, with a giant server error here, this will be a giant step forward. So, what are the big things? Designed for rapid continuous mining through achieving 100% utilization will be quite difficult. It'll basically never stop. Now, while exact tunnel lengths remain undisclosed, the team estimates that Purfrock 3, I think that's how you're saying this, will dig distance of roughly 300 meters. The field that experts, the team thinks that this is. So the tunnel can be completed in 2 to 4 weeks with this thing's capability, which is kind of impressive if you ever pay attention to stuff. So how fast is Purfrock 2? An early iteration of this boasted tunnel speeds of up to 1,600 meters or 1 mile per week. Purfrock 3 is supposedly 7 times faster, which is pretty fast. Now, their medium-term goal is to exceed 1/10 of human walking speed, which is roughly 7 miles a day. And I believe one of the cool things about this, I think my article kind of glitched out here. Maybe this was a different article I was reading. It might have been a different article. But I believe Purfrock 3, one of the cool things about it is it can actually start its hole up top and then like snake its way down and back up, if I remember correctly. Let's see if I can find that, because I believe it was something like that. Now I can't remember. Let's see, 2 days ago. I think this is the same article I was just looking at. It'll basically be a really, really, really cool rock digging thingy that'll make holes in the ground, Not many people get to make holes in the ground and dig them fast. Many people get to do that, but not, essentially do that really well. I can't find whatever I was reading that said that, so ignore me. That could be entirely made up. And, do with that what you will. Basically, it's 7 times faster than the old one, which is sick. So that's it for today. I am extremely tired and ready for bed. I hope you enjoyed this episode, though. Maybe that last topic, I should maybe done a little more pre-reading before I jumped in. But it's a little too late. So I will catch you guys in the next one.